Shanti. The feeling in the Brahmin family worldwide is that time is short. Is that true? And when I came into Gyan, it was 1975. Many thought destruction would be 1976. So I had 1 year to become Kamatit. I thought, no problem. And 50 years have gone by. But all of us now can really feel, and not only the Brahmin family, so many of the souls in the world are also feeling time and really what is important now? What do I need to do? One of the things which is important for me is to keep the feelings in my mind and heart clean, pure, benevolent, positive, no matter what is happening outside of me. And in a way, Baba was referring to this morning too, that, you know, this is really my sphere of influence, my inner world. And we are all of us are interacting in a grossly body conscious world. All sorts of behaviors, all sorts of attitudes, all sorts of things. What did Baba say? You know, when someone behaves badly, do I absorb it or do I observe it? And to me, this is a crucial thing at this time, because I feel the way we Brahmin family, we love Baba, we have faith in Baba, but we're too affected by things because the habit of absorbing, being influenced is still so strong. And I remember some years ago, Baba said something which really inspired me. And you know how Baba can say this most simple thing, but it really impacts so deeply. Baba said, children, right is right and wrong is wrong, but don't bring it into your feelings. And in a way, that's the best description of a detached observer. But what often happens, I think, is that when we see something bad, like Baba said today, our sense of justice kicks in and we feel justified. That's wrong. That's not Srimat. This is not good. And so I feel very justified in generating negativity, even gossiping to other people. I feel I'm on my high horse of morality in a way. I am right and this person is wrong. And I remember Baba was saying that one made a mistake and you have made an equal mistake. They may have done the wrong action, but my reaction and absorbing it into my heart. And what did Baba say today? Oh, they're like that anyway, you know. We just sort of, that thought, just saying, oh, that's their way, that's their nature, is absorbing it into myself. And I feel a lot of our study now is to keep our feelings clean, to really keep them clean regardless of the scenes of drama. And it's almost like, who is powerful in my life? Is it the scenes of drama, the personalities, the behaviors? Are they dominating how I feel? Or am I internally the master deciding how I'm going to feel in my mind? Because the addiction of 63 births is when we feel empty spiritually at the end of the cycle, our addiction is to fill the emptiness. And that's our habit of many births, that if people give me love and respect, I absorb it. But I absorb all the negativity too. And so I fluctuate my feeling. And I'm really paying attention not to be influenced in this way and to keep my feelings clean. And I remember once one of my favorite maulis, which I've sort of, you know how you have your favorite things that inspire. Baba talked about the 5 feelings of becoming an angel. And to me, it was almost like Baba saying, children, hold these 5 feelings in your mind and you will flow. Any other feelings, when I react and I have bad feeling, negative feeling, hurt feeling, it's like I poison my inner world. It's like I have to keep safe these clean feelings, these pure feelings, regardless, because I fly when I do, and my mind will serve automatically. But as soon as I poison my inner world with a reaction, the bad feeling, the hurt feeling, because through my eyes I see a behavior, it pollutes my inner world. I am affected, and my mind won't be serving others as well. So the 5 feelings was something like the feelings of love and cooperation, the feelings of zeal and enthusiasm, the feelings of benevolence, the feelings of belonging, giving feelings of belonging to everyone, and the feelings of soul consciousness. And in a way, my aim is to hold these sweet feelings, these pure feelings inside. And sometimes I have a feeling, who is more influential on me? Because when Baba's more influential, it's easy to hold those feelings. But if I allow the world and people to be more influential, I absorb the feelings from there. Because to me, the real sign, and I love this language, am I an observer or am I an absorber? Am I still, after all these years, absorbing the words, absorbing the opinions, absorbing the negativity, absorbing that stuff? Because we've got to be absolutely clear, that's my problem. That is my weakness. Because until I'm really aware of the absolute truth of life, it's absolutely me absorbing. As Baba said this morning, they did the behavior, but if I absorb it, that's my mistake. And when I really hold that truth, that's what I've found. When you really hold that strongly, you're less, as soon as you see yourself absorbing a little bit of waste thought or feeling from another person, you will change. Say, no, Baba, I am responsible for every feeling in my mind. And to take that sense of responsibility and to make that decision that, Baba, I'm going to live in this tamo pradhan world where everything is going down so quickly, but I'm going to keep my inner sacred space clean, pure, loving, light, benevolent. This is the sign of a really yogi, jnani soul. So I've been really paying attention to keep my feelings clean. And if I allow something else in, quickly change it. Quickly change it rather than allow it to fester and grow inside. And perhaps a part of that too is an observation of myself, how, Baba says we're living at the end of the cycle, so much happening, to accept everyone. And I used to think that accepting everyone is to tolerate, that I should, really have that sense of acceptance, a big heart for everyone, which is true in one sense. But I've started to see that acceptance is letting go all forms of resistance to situations and others. Because what happens, and it's a little bit like I was talking, that when we're living in this iron age, as Baba said, some behave badly. So what happens is, in my mind, I build up this wall of resistance. It's instant almost. I start to have thoughts of disapproval. I disapprove of that behavior. I dislike that behavior. I reject that behavior. This mindset of againstness, it comes in instantly. And what happens to your stage and the vibration you give to other people. I think you all know what I mean, that something is happening out there and the thoughts are created. Sometimes we feel other people don't, feel my thoughts, but they really do feel your thoughts. And I began to ask, why do I resist people? Why do I resist situations that come in front and have these thoughts of dislike, disapproval? It's not good. Because I have an attachment to how things should be. Now, I know what is right and I know what is wrong, but sometimes I'm attached to how people should behave, how life should be. But life is something different, where at the end of the Iron Age, all sorts of things will happen. And because I have in my mind, they should behave like this. In my mind, they should be like this. In my mind, the situation should be correct according to the Brahman principles. And that's true. But it's not happening like that. Someone is behaving badly, something negative is happening. So if I create this resistance in myself, the thoughts start to flow of dislike, disapproval, it shouldn't happen, my stage really goes down. And I was just with somebody and I found myself having some of that resistance. This is a little while ago. Just that this person, the way they were speaking and behaving wasn't appropriate. And I just asked myself, why am I resisting this person? And I began to realize I was holding on to a position of how they should be. It was actually my attachment. Rather than observing, can you control anybody? It's impossible. And so it still was like, because a person is behaving against what I feel is appropriate, I resist, my stage comes down. But I began to see I was holding on to a position of how this person should be or how this person should behave. And instantly I had such a realization, I just let it go. And I felt so light. And what I do now, whenever I observe just a little bit of that thinking, this shouldn't be happening, this is not right. And sometimes in the Brahmin family, where we all know the Maryadas, we all know the systems, if it's not accurate, that resistance can come quite easily. But what happens to your stage? And I think this sort of sense of moralizing about how things should be. Yes, we should make effort to make it right. Yes, it's good if they should be according to the system. But if they're not, should I resist? No. And it's an interesting thing that having this attachment to how things should be, if I let it go, I feel I can keep what Baba was saying, keep my feelings clean, because the resistance means I have those negative feelings inside. And so I really pay attention a lot about keeping the mind clean, having good feelings, because it's like a fragrance that everyone feels. As soon as you meet somebody, the fragrance is the quality of your thoughts and feelings. We instantly, especially Brahmins, we can feel it instantly. I don't know about you, but sometimes in the back of my mind, someone comes and say, hello, how are you? And hello, lovely to see you. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you said this last week. You did this. They can feel it. And I love this because it's always telling me to become cleaner and cleaner inside. Don't hold on to anything. Ultimately, our purity, which is the theme of this retreat, is our success. And so much of purity is about living in this world with everything happening, all the news, all the situations, all the behaviors, and keeping clean, keeping my thoughts and feelings pure and clean inside. And a lot of the uncleanliness comes from reactions, resistance to people and situations. Each time I resist, stage comes down. Each time I observe, I can still see the behavior, I'm still aware, but I don't absorb it, I don't resist. And to me, that's something which has been really important. recently, just observing where I allow a little bit to enter and quickly trying to respond. But probably the main thing for a few years really is remembrance. Why? Because sometimes I think that God, in the whole of eternity, one soul retains truth. One soul is never influenced. One soul retains the truth about everything. And his main advice to me on a daily basis is one thing: remember me alone. And sometimes I think, as a Brahmin, we follow everything, we do service, we make a lot of effort. But how much have I really accumulated? Bob was talking about the power of accumulation, remembrance. If this is the ultimate practice of this life, because I really believe that when I do truly remember Shiv Baba accurately, all the power comes back to the soul. And yet often it seems in this life we do so many things, but how much of a genuine account of accumulation of remembrance do I have? And sometimes I feel that we absorb the ocean of knowledge for one practice, to live my life and keep my intellect with Baba. Keep the subtle thread connected with Baba, no matter what action or responsibility. And I've just been really thinking, because I said, once I spent some time with Jagdish Pai, and I went and stayed with him in Shakti Nagar where he was living. And, he was the senior brother, the knowledgeful brother. And he said to me very openly, I've done so much service, so much writing, so much knowledge, so many talks, so much, but I haven't done the real work of that account of yoga and accumulation. And sometimes I feel this is where Baba's attention is, and what happens, I think, is that a lot of us, when we come, we try to remember Baba, and the mind wanders here, the mind wanders there. It's all sorts of pulls. And deep down, subtly, I feel a little bit of a failure. I'm not good at yoga. I'm not good at remembrance. So that's subconsciously often I start to put all my energy into service because I can see results. When you do an action, you can see a result, because the work really to have that unadulterated remembrance with Baba, this is deep spiritual work. It's deep spiritual work. It's the real work we've all come for. I honestly believe our part in the drama is to change our sanskaras. The Brahmin family, God needs a certain number of us with pure sanskaras to lay the foundation of the future. There's only one method for that, and that is remembrance. And what I really love about that too is that I'm starting to feel more and more that I like everything natural. I really believe the true Raj Yoga is absolutely natural. If I'm pushing myself, forcing myself, pressuring myself, I must do this, I have to, I should. To me, that's the devotional path. The spiritual path, Baba's path, is really to naturally fall in love with Shiv Baba. And to me, the absolute seed of this life is to fall in love with the one who's incorporeal, egoless, and viceless. We believe in Baba, and we do have some love, but if I deeply fall in love with Shiv Baba, I will naturally remember him. I don't think I should, I must, I have to. Naturally, the heart is attracted. And when I naturally remember, I will naturally transform. And when I naturally transform, I'll be like Baba this morning. Baba said, service through your face and your features and your behavior. That's the real service. And so For some years, actually, I've been observing where my subtle thread of my intellect travels. Because this is, to me, this is what effort is paying attention. Where does the subtle thread travel to? In a millisecond, actually, in no time, you can travel to the past, you can travel to a behavior, to a situation. And what I've observed is that three things happen whenever the subtle thread travels. You remember. First, you connect with that person, that memory. Second, whatever you connect with, instantly you're influenced by that. And whatever influences you, that's how you feel. And so when we're sitting here and we remember a family member, a Lokik family member, even a Brahmin family member, the subtle thread remembers. There's a loving relationship. I'm influenced by that love. I feel quite relaxed and easy. But if you're sitting here right now and you travel out, your subtle thread connects with a person you're in conflict with, you're not getting on, there's problems, there's differences. The instant the intellect touches, I'm influenced by that conflict, and the mind will start to go fast and analyze and justify. And in a way, whatever I remember I connect with will influence me. And that's really what my effort has been to observe, because, sometimes I've observed sitting at Amrit Vela, Baba says that's the foundation, with such a pure feeling, intent, to have unadulterated remembrance of one. And within 3.2 seconds, travel somewhere, travel somewhere. It may not be bad at all, but you travel. And I feel in a way that it's because the myth we've all been brought up with, underlying the whole culture of this life for 63 births, is that peace, love, and happiness is out there. Someone will give me love. This will give me peace. It's recorded in my subconscious. So you sit down to go to Baba and pulled out. And this is the incredible attention to retrain myself to go to Baba. And so as I began to practice this, I had such respect for Brahma Baba, because I feel his attention to observe, it's like creating this self-observation in the sacred space of my mind. The instant the subtle thread goes, if it goes to a place which is not productive, he would bring it back. He said, I sit to eat food and I forget Baba. But that, to me, effort is paying attention where my subtle thread goes. And when I create this sanskara of attention, it increases the account of remembrance, because my observation is when the subtle thread remembers Baba, when really I'm absorbed in Baba, it's like I live stream Baba's vibes into my mind. That purity, that peace. And that sustains me. That's all I need. That's, that really sweet feeling where you feel you have what you need. You don't need anything else. You're self-contained. And when you're feeling that vibration, I find I just feel so relaxed, so easy. It sustains me. It sustains the atmosphere around me, and it sustains others around me too. That vibration. To me, if you're living in the family, the way to sustain your family is remember Baba, because you'll create a perfume in your mind that will just hold the whole vibration around you. But if the subtle thread's always going to the family, the Lokik family, people, situations, the children, what's going on, low vibration. And this is such a habit, to think about them, sort of analyze them, wonder about them. But the more I connect in that direction, it's a low vibration. And I'm a Brahmin, I have faith, but I don't really feel I'm moving forward like I should. Why? Because the subtle thread is really going to the old story of the lokic rather than the alokic. Or if I even just keep remembering me and my mistakes and my past, the lowest vibration. And I often feel if I'm not happy, really, if I'm not feeling that happy, if I'm feeling a bit ordinary, there's only one question to ask myself. What have I been remembering? What have I plugged my thinking into? Because I've connected with something, I put myself under the influence of that, and my mood, my stage comes down. It can be a behavior, like Baba said, of somebody, a situation, a memory of the past. So if I'm not feeling that great, just ask, what am I plugging? Because it's almost subconscious. And really, it's this whole study for me I've been watching is where does my subtle thread connect to? Because sometimes even we connect to a situation that's going on, and the habit is to dwell on it, to think about it, to analyze it, to process it. And the more I do, the more my stage goes down, and it's almost like I've put the subtle thread of my intellect in bondage to a problem. How long does it take to bring myself back up again? So that's my feeling, is to observe where it goes. And if it's going in a place that is no benefit, pull it back, go to Baba, go to Baba, go to Baba. And I often mention, because in this context, there was a meeting Baba had with Daddy Nirmala Shanta, which really inspired me, because she sat in front of Baba. Everyone knows Daddy Nirmala Shanta, Baba's Lokic daughter. And Baba gave her drishti, as he would always meet. And Baba said, "You're busy, aren't you?" She said, "Yes, Baba." Then Baba gave her more drishti. Baba said, "You're very busy, aren't you?" She said, "Yes, Baba." And then Baba said, "Many drops make an ocean. Drops of remembrance make an ocean of remembrance." And then Baba started to tell her how to practically accumulate. Baba said, when you finish the meeting and you walk down the hall, go to Baba. When you go to get your glass of water, go to Baba. So all those moments, those drops, actually, we all have so much time during the day. If I use those drops of remembrance, it becomes an ocean, and I become strong. I become powerful. I don't become a little bit, fragile, too fragile. And I just absolutely love this. And what I began to do is practice it myself. And I realized that the habit of the human intellect at this time is that when you do meet somebody and you walk away, you analyze, you process what happened, what they said, how I felt. So instead of going to Baba and accumulating, I process and I lose that accumulation, And I think it's like the habit, to create a habit. Even when we leave here and go to breakfast, do I just let my mind wander anywhere? I think I've got to see somebody. Or do I go to Baba, use all these moments of life? When I drive back home, all these moments, if I start to really become aware, where is my subtle thread traveling to? And I've really tried to create a sanskara of observing what I connect to. And if I'm going in the wrong direction, thinking too much maybe about a situation or person, pull it back, go to Baba. And the feeling is of accumulation. The feeling is you're getting stronger the more you accumulate. And I feel that account of remembrance ultimately, the account of time too. Time is short, 90 years have gone. I asked Genti Ben how many Brahmins there are. She said she believed there are about 900,000 Paka Brahmins. Baba always said there'd be 900,000. It's like all the signs are there that we're coming into the final period. I feel we will all have an account with time. And at some point, this is what I feel, I'm going to think, I knew Baba, I knew God. What did I do with my time? What did I do with my time? It's so easy to get so distracted by, they're not even bad things, but things which aren't really very important. So, and how should I use my time? In this account of accumulation, like Baba said today. Accumulating the pure thoughts of remembrance. Ultimately, this is the task God has given all of us. This is the main task of this life. And I keep asking myself, am I really doing it? Is it really, happening? Om Shanti.